5 minutes on how we participate in our own oppression. So, we are conditioned to assimilate. We are conditioned to survive in a system of white supremacy, to survive within racism. And some of our survival techniques are working against us. And some of the things that we have internalized and ingested from living in a racist society and not learning positive things about ourselves are working against us. So I'm just going to go over, a couple of ways that we are contributing to our own internalized racism, and myself included. I find that there's times when I've participated in these things, so I'm not trying to be holier than thou. I'm just trying to make us aware. So one way that people of color or marginalized groups participate in white supremacy or uphold or white supremacy is by having bias. So for example, if I as a black person do not also recognize that Latinos are being marginalized, discriminated against, or if I don't join in them, if I'm not joining with them in solidarity, then I am upholding white supremacy. Every time as a person of color I am not speaking up against or recognizing that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, I am upholding white supremacy. I don't have the power to be racist myself, but I am perpetuating racism. And bottom line is, just like I said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So the way I feel about it is I can't then turn around and be homophobic. I can't then turn around and not care about classist issues. I can't then not care about the disabled population, etc. So it doesn't make any sense. In addition to, there's black people who are LGBTQ, non-binary, transgender, etc. There's black people who are disabled. There's black people who are poor, obviously. There's black people that, whatever the marginalized group is, there's black people in that group. Even within like Latinos, there's Afro-Latinos. So if for me to really embrace the liberation of all black people, I can't then say, oh, only these black people, right? Only the black people that I identify with. I'm only fighting for their liberation, not trans people or not, people with disabilities. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, number one, you have to be in solidarity with everybody's movements and everybody's fight for justice. Number two, this whole thing that different communities do where they worship light skin. Where we go, oh my God, he's so fine, he's got green eyes and light skin, or she's not cute because she's got dark skin. And in every culture, Latinos, you do it in your novellas. Your novellas, have all of the fair skinned white looking women who own the house. Your help is, tends to be darker. Indian people have skin lightener in their products. Like, all of these different groups that have been colonized by white people then have turned around to become worshipers of light skin, light features, and white features. Now that comes from colonization, where once white folks raped us, because that's what they did, that's what colonization means, they would rape these different groups of color, and then you have children who are now lighter skinned, and the lighter skinned children would have more power than the mom, because the light skin gave them power, because it's white supremacy, right? So from that, we have continued to worship light skin. And I used to crack jokes with my mom. My mom is fairer skinned than me, and I used to always, joke back and forth with her until she made a point that was really profound, which is, let us not worship the blood that was raped into our ancestors. Let that sit with you for a moment. Let us not worship the blood that was raped into our ancestors. Which means every time, most of the time, we're worshiping lighter skin, that's what we're doing. Now, I'm not talking about, people who are in an interracial relationship who decided to, procreate. I'm talking about the brainwashing and the history of white supremacy, and that's what still exists in our different communities. So love your indigenousness, right? Love your dark skin, love your broad nose, love your nappy hair, embrace that, because when you reject that, it's part of the brainwashing, it's part of your participation in the white beauty aesthetic and in deciding that you are not beautiful. And the last thing I'll say, because I'm only spending 5 minutes, if you want more, you need to, pay me, essentially. You need to, really see the value in what it is I'm offering. The last one is, when it is safe to do so, and I know that's a tricky one, you need to be real with the white people in your lives about all the ways that you accommodate, assimilate, all the ways that white supremacy affects your life, all the ways that it affects your anxiety, depression, hopelessness, feeling that you're not safe, being afraid for your children, because the more we are silent around white people, the more they will never see the impact of what white supremacy is doing to our different cultures and our different communities. So 5 minutes on how we participate in our own oppression. So stop. Peace.